There's an ongoing debate in the VTuber streaming community, and more broadly in the streaming space as well. How should your game overlays look? You've probably seen this before, when the streamer covers 70% of the screen and the game itself is just a small rectangle positioned strangely over their chest. But in particular, what do viewers prefer? Can I attract more viewers with one type of overlay over another? Are custom overlays more worth it? And, I can't forget this question. Should your model be on the left or right side of the screen? So, let's take a look. There's usually 3 kinds of stream overlay styles for gaming streams, or any stream type that involves showing another scene as the main focus, like reacting to videos, PowerPoint presentations, or browsing the web together with your viewers. The cutout, the pop-up, and absolutely no overlay at all, which is just raw content. And we can technically break down these categories into subcategories as well, as it can provide more details on how you want your overlays to look when working with a designer to make custom ones, or for when you're browsing around pre-made sets. The most common type of overlay you will find is the cutout version, where a section of the screen is cut out so that the game can be shown. Chat, new followers or subs, and the model itself covers the majority of the overlay design. This allows for the game to be mostly uncovered by the overlay elements or the overlay itself, but there are a few downsides to this style. The game screen will be smaller. If the game is text-heavy, viewers can have a more difficult time following along when watching on a smaller device. PC or TV viewers probably will have little to no trouble though, and there can be a lot of unused space. If you can't fit another element on the overlay, it can look empty, but if you can, it can look cluttered. To combat this, sometimes designers will add moving elements to make it look more appealing, even if there's nothing on top of it. There isn't a defined ratio as to how much overlay there should be compared to the game screen, but eventually people were thinking, is it possible to reduce the amount of space that the overlay takes on the screen? Much like how the era of skeuomorphism eventually faded away from mobile apps, then came neumorphism. Minimalism. How much can we shave off of the overlay so that we can maximize the amount of the game shown, but still have something intact that we can call an overlay? This is where you see elements like the chat box or a new follower box stick out more and can block the view of important or irrelevant parts of the game screen. Maybe you want to hide the UID from your viewers to prevent anyone from sending you unwanted friend requests in a Hoyoverse game. I actually quite like minimalistic overlays. It's probably the favorite one out of all the variations of overlay designs. There's still some space to put the chat box and have messages still be legible. And since my chat doesn't move super fast, it's not that distracting to have just 1 or 2 visible messages at a time rather than a really long list. My model does stick quite a bit onto the game screen though, but I do want to make it around that size in case I find something fun to clip and still have the model relatively centered in a vertical frame for shorts. You can explore a lot of different designs with a cutout overlay because you offer more immersion, like wrapping theater curtains around when watching a video or a fun retro style when playing retro consoles. But if you're not interested in having any sort of border around, you can consider a pop-up style of overlay that maximizes the size of the game screen while minimizing the number of other elements on the screen. This includes relying more on pop-up animations when a viewer subs or joins, rather than have static labels that are always visible on the screen. Probably the most similar to a face cam that streamers use. There's the usual rectangular shaped ones, but there's also more stylish ones that have just the head cut out from a diamond or any minimalistic shape. A benefit of using this style is that you can move the element anywhere you'd like on the screen so that it doesn't necessarily block any important aspects of the game. I remember watching Day9 do this quite often for his streams when he changes games. This can also allow for more immersive overlays, especially game-specific HUD designs. If you're a streamer that focuses on a single game like Overwatch, you can find artists that will create HUD designs that acts like a border around key UI. It's like how no one plays World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy XIV with the original UI placements, right? To the gamer, the UI remains the same, but for the viewers, they can get a grasp of your personality or which characters you main based off of the HUD overlay design that you use. A problem with using a decentralized overlay is, where does the on-screen chat go? You can get just a chat box, but things might get complicated if you have multiple elements to move around, depending on the game you play, so that none of these overlays will block important parts of the gameplay. If you're multi-streaming, you're basically playing Tetris every single time. Ain't that fun? So, if you can't really be bothered by all the bells and whistles that an overlay provides, you can totally opt to have no overlay at all. Now, this isn't necessarily lazy to not have an overlay. At times, having no overlay can be more immersive. Imagine you're about to get jump scared, but half of the screen is just strawberries and ribbons. Not sure if you want to associate strawberries with scary stuff down the road? In other times, maybe just the in-game character is all you need to represent yourself. And you'll often find the chat is just simply existing on the screen. No fancy chat box, design, or anything. Well, if it's even being shown in the first place. Whether or not you have an overlay when gaming probably isn't that big of a deal overall, but it can help with branding yourself to first-time or even 100th-time viewers. There's so many options for overlays that are free to use, pay to use, fully custom ones that can fit your budget and needs. If you want to make your own, you could use free apps like Canva or Figma to experiment. If it's free or pay to use, the overlay will dictate which side your character model will be placed on the screen. If you're commissioning for a custom one, consider how your tracking camera and monitors are placed in your setup. You want the character to slightly face towards the game screen so that it looks like they're also watching the game. So if you're always looking left at your monitor, put your character on the right side of the overlay as the tracking is mirrored to your real-life movements. If there's an overlay that you really like, but it's on the wrong side, you can probably do just a horizontal flip in OBS, especially if there's no text to make it unflippable. And you can also go the route of a custom overlay if you have specific needs for the games you're playing or want a stylized HUD design. If you want to work with an artist, however, just be careful. This category of design work is notorious for scammers to target streamers for. Sometimes you'll see them pop into your chat or DMs asking if you ever need design work, and they all have that ugly, outdated look and feel from a bygone era. Do not ever commission these people. Sometimes they'll give you a sob story too. And even worse, now that generative AI is a thing, they'll pass off that junk as their work. You sometimes do get deliverables from these scammers, but you're really overpaying for what they're just offering. Be careful of sites like Etsy that may have legitimate designers offering their works. Sometimes it's stolen designs from other art sites from Asia and resold at a markup. Check if the artist has socials to places like X, Instagram, Weibo. So basically, you just want to make sure they have additional presence elsewhere that matches their style that they're showing you. Now, once you have your overlay, should you put all the image assets directly in OBS or have a third-party site like Stream Elements or Sukolab to host it? That will depend on how often you change up your overlays, whether you rely on third-party sites to show text like newest follower, and how much your PC can handle on its own. OBS is the easiest to change things around fast, and you can sort things into folders, but you can't do a folder in a folder, so you'll have to do a scene and then put the scene in the folder. But on the bright side, there's a lot of plugins to experiment with. On the other hand, third-party sites can offer direct integrations with chat and other timed things like raids or memberships. The downside is you'll be at their mercy if your favorite feature gets removed without warning, or the whole service just dies down. I briefly covered what gaming overlays could be like for your streams, but didn't dive into chatting screens or other assets that most VTubers use for their content creation. If you have any questions about overlays or want a video on a specific topic, feel free to drop them down in the comment section. If you like watching this video, check out this one about how to be a VTuber in 2026. Or this one that's recommended for you. I stream games and handcam activities like model kit building, TCG pack openings and unboxings on Twitch. And if you want to support the channel, consider joining the membership, check out my wishlist on Throne to support upcoming content ideas, and other ways listed in the description box below. Bye for now!